Hey everybody, it's Monday, October 13th, 2025. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, where we just want to play the rest of the season with injuries off. It's me, your man, MG Marcas Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and LaQuan Jones. How are we feeling, LQ, on this Monday?
Gloomy, just like the weather here in LA. I mean, honestly, our producer, man, Kyrie goes all the way up to Seattle and brings the gloom here, man. And I'm not happy about this Rams win. Like, I got to be honest, we got the W, but that game would have been totally different if Snoop Huntley was in at the first quarter and played all 4 quarters. I'm not happy right now. So my mood matches the weather here in LA.
All right. Maybe we'll open up some space if you want to just rant a little bit, get some things off your chest.
I did a TikTok this morning. It's up. It's uploaded. I'm good. Right. I got it all aired out.
Has LQ shown up after a Rams win this year and been happy? I don't think that's happened yet.
No, I don't. Let me go through and look, because I don't. I guess
it's too many games. Houston was the last game. I was like, okay, that was weird, right? But we're gonna get it together. It'll get right, and then
you're okay after the Titans. After the Titans game in week 2.
Okay. Tony Pollard had some high yardage there. I didn't like that. I mean, honestly, it's the Titans, so that's we should have blown them out of the water. And this Ravens game. What are we doing? I'm just going to stop right now because this can become something that could be a 30-minute episode of just the Rams. So I'm going to save it for my pod. So I'm going to back off now.
But go to the clock app, go to the TikTok if you want to see some of LaQuan's thoughts about what happened on Sunday against the Ravens. Flora, how about you? I mean, your team plays tonight. So how are we feeling about that?
I feel good. I do think the Falcons are a tough matchup. Their strengths are the Bills' weaknesses kind of thing. I do think people are getting way too, the Patriots beat the Bills and now suddenly the Bills are very vulnerable and the Patriots are the team to beat. So I think this is an opportunity for the Bills to remind everyone who they are. But we're about to do news, and I have all 3 of the players that we are doing injury news in multiple starting lineups this week. So it was a good week for stardom, sit-em and stuff, my calls, but it was a rough week for some of my fantasy teams.
Yeah, we will dive into a whole bunch of things. We got Real and Mirage. We have some backfields to talk about that are kind of confusing. We'll look at the waiver wire, guys to add and some guys to drop as well. But as Florio mentioned, we do have some news headlines, all 3 involving wide receivers, all 3 involving injuries. We'll start with the Rams. Puka Nacua dealing with an ankle injury. The original report is that he was uncertain for week 7, and I guess it's still sort of that way, although it's looking a lot more likely that he is not going to play when the Rams go to London to take on the Jaguars coming up this week. So, LaQuan, look, you watch this team closer than the rest of us. We know Davante Adams is going to get plenty of targets. He is not available. If he's available on your waiver wire, can I be in your league? We know he's not available. So taking him out of the equation, which Rams receiver should folks maybe make a run at on waivers?
It has to be Jordan Whittington. He's the wide receiver 3. When you see Puka lined up, when you see Adams, you will always see Jordan Whittington. So I do feel like when you go back to last season, go back to that Packer game where he had a ton of targets. He had 10 targets and he was able to find ways to make big plays, and Stafford looked comfortable with him. So when it comes to reliability, he has a higher catch rate than Davante Adams right now. Look, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Adams. He's supposed to be catching these balls that we are supposed to be paying him this money to do. And I honestly think the Stafford connection between him, it's going to be sketchy going forward because it hasn't been on par. And I think Jordan Whittington gives Stafford that security blanket. We're 2-2s on the way back, so we'll get big plays down the field. Xavier Smith, Konate Mumfield, these are all guys that we have depth at. And I say all this to say that Puka should not be playing in London. Puka should be here in LA rehabbing. We got the bye after this week. Let him sit for 2 weeks. I know this sounds terrible for fantasy managers, but I'm looking for the bigger picture here. We're going to want Puka in the fantasy playoffs. And as a Rams fan, I obviously want him on the back end of the season as well. So I think Jordan Whittington will fill that gap that Puka may leave on the table for him.
I do have the strong sense that he's not going to play this week because, as you mentioned, they have the bye in week 8. So why not give him a couple of weeks to rest up, get that ankle right, and then, be ready to go for the back part of the season. You mentioned the Devontae Adams thing. It is. I know we had a couple of drops yesterday, but also, when I was watching, there were a few times where Stafford just missed him, was just high or overthrew him.
Chemistry, the timing, it's not there. Like, it's almost to the point, like, you have to remember Stafford didn't practice with him all summer. So now they're playing catch up to kind of get on the same page, but it's costing us.
It's also 6 weeks in, man. Like,
he kind of put too much air on that throw to Puka too that led to Puka getting hurt. Like,
but you got to give Air Puka a shot, man. You know Puka's a demon. Look, the catch radius is not capped. The sky's the limit for him. So I'm not worried about that.
Just Stafford wasn't sharp yesterday. That's all.
He just was off yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it's not an indictment on Stafford. He just kind of had a bad day. I think that's kind of all there was to it yesterday. But the Ravens kind of a mess, so they could still get the win. I'm down in Tampa. Emeka Egbuka left the game for the Bucs with a hamstring injury.
Yikes.
Now, the Bucs won on the strength of Johnson and Johnson, Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson.
The Jets have yet to do that.
The Jets have yet to do that. Right, exactly. So obviously we're still waiting for more updates on Egbuka and what his long-term prognosis is going to be. But in the short term, Florio, if you were looking there in Tampa, Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson, Cameron Johnson, any of those guys, make a move. Which, by the way, I should also add, it does look unlikely that Chris Godwin is going to play as well in Week 7. So, you will see what Mike Evans' situation is, but possibly no Godwin, maybe no Egbuka. I mean, where do you go for pass catching help in Tampa?
I think it depends on Mike Evans, right? Because he has been nearing a return. If he's out again next week, I do think the Johnsons become a little bit more viable for fantasy. If he plays, though, he is going to be the out wide receiver. I would expect he would get a lot of the downfield targets, but that would leave Sterling Shepard in the slot, which is why Sterling Shepard is the name that I'm most attracted to of these three. But I will say, if Mike Evans is out next week, Cameron Johnson has my attention because Tez Johnson played more snaps, but he was purely like a downfield threat. And the funniest moment, I think, in this week in the NFL was Tez Johnson explaining after the game that after his long touchdown catch, he thought the MVP chants were for him. And Sterling Shepard had to be like, no, they're for Baker Mayfield. If you haven't seen the video, please go watch it. It is amazing. But Cam Johnson, he had 4 targets on 11 routes yesterday. One was behind the line of scrimmage, like a screen. One was short, one was intermediate, and one was deep. So they're using him all over the field. And I think if Evans is out this week, we'll see more Johnson on the field. There's deep shots there. They would both be more like a deeper option with only 2 teams on bye, but MV Baker is playing at such a high level right now that if you could get pieces tied to him in a deeper league or something like that, I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing phenomenal football right now. Looked good again yesterday and did it without, for a good stretch of the game, without his top 3 receivers. So he is absolutely locked in for sure. By the way, a report from our own Ian Rappaport suggesting that the Bucs are hopeful that Mike Evans will be back this week. So hopefully Baker can get one of his weapons back coming up for Week 7. In Tennessee, Calvin Ridley dealing with a hamstring injury, much like Egbuka is, and he left in the Titans' loss to the Raiders. LaQuan, I know we have sort of been trying, at least early in the season, we're trying to pump up Alec Iomanner. I feel like that's sort of quieted down the last couple of weeks. Is there any other Titans receivers that interest you? I mean, are we trying to tell a story about Tyler Lockett? Anybody else there that you have any interest in?
I mean, if I put my Rams hat on, I'm going to say Van Jefferson, but I'm not going to get up here and hype him up to be like a reliable, fantasy asset or anything like that. But I do feel like, Alec Iomanner is a project. Like, we're going to have to wait for this offense to get on track. I mean, last week they had their highest yards per play of the season, and then now they're back to under 4 yards per play. So it's like they're still trying to figure things out. And I don't think some managers who desperately need these wide receivers that are staring at a donut in 6, and I'm thinking folks that are panicking, he's not the guy that can be on my roster right now if I'm seeing more options on the waiver wire, if I'm seeing better options to help me at other depth positions. I think, honestly, if you are down that bad in 16-man leagues, Van Jefferson, sure, he showed up last week, but I don't see myself putting him in my starting lineup and saying, hey, I feel good about this weekend coming out with a W with my wide receivers being down to Van Jefferson with all these injuries.
Yeah, it's such a mess right now. I think when we get back to the end of the season, we will look back and the Cardinals losing that game to the Titans might be the worst loss for any individual team on the NFL schedule this year.
There's still more time. The Cardinals could do it again.
There's definitely more time. There's certainly more time, but man, just not just losing to then the winless Titans, but having a multiple score lead and having that game get away in just the most ridiculous ways possible, that one's gonna hurt for a while.
While we're on the Cardinals real quick, shout out to my guy Jacoby Brissett doing something that 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyler's done that once in the last 3 seasons. So shout out to him.
Talk about it.
Yeah, man. I actually had the screenshot from Jacoby Brissett having that insurance commercial where he's like the backup or whatever. I had that all locked and loaded. He was able to throw that touchdown pass to win it at the end. I was putting that out there. So I guess Kyler's job is still safe-ish, but that's Jacoby put up some numbers.
It's probably safe throughout this year. After that,
it's time to have that conversation about Kyler.
I mean, I think it is.
Table for it. Y'all thought I was a hater. I was just being serious.
Well, I think we keep wishing things for Kyler that maybe just aren't going to happen again.
He's running, but there's just no pass.
I don't think he has 225 yards in a game yet this year. It's just not.
I'll say that's the best I've seen Drew Petzing's offense in a very long time.
The problem for the Cardinals is, obviously Jacoby Brissett's not the answer. We know he's not going to be the guy.
That type of quarterback.
I'll die on the hill, though, that he is a top 32 quarterback walking the planet.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
I like that phrase.
I'm not going to argue that. But I just wonder, will they get a high enough draft pick to actually get their shot at a quarterback who's going to matter? I mean, they've got 2 wins already. They'll win a handful more games.
I don't know. Mac Jones, man. He's looking good next year, man. And they can
you think Mac Jones goes? You think Mac goes down to the desert?
Why not? He could turn it around.
Somebody's going to pay Mac Jones a lot of money.
I know Mac can get it to Marvin Harrison Jr. And still support Trey McBride.
Somebody's going to pay Mac a lot of money. And maybe it is the Cardinals. Decided to do a little bit of real or Mirage after what we saw in week 6, especially the Sunday games. And a few guys here. First off, Rico Dowdle. Florio, 200 or more scrimmage yards in consecutive games. I believe I saw he is maybe the first undrafted player to ever do that, I believe is what it is. But either way, fantastic work for Rico Dowdle. Apparently he's our new running back king over the last couple of weeks. After last week's game against the Dolphins, he told the Cowboys to buckle up. And then after he ran over, around, and through them, he said they didn't buckle up. So shout out to Rico for backing up his trash talk. But real or Mirage, and look, I'm not saying 200 scrimmage yards every week, but in terms of being a productive back and maybe pushing Chuba Hubbard, is this real or is this a Mirage?
This is real. And I wish that I could reach a level of petty of Rico Dowdle. He might be my new favorite player in the NFL. The fact that he said it and then went out and had the most yards a player has ever had against their former team in NFL history. And then talked about it after the game. It was amazing. But I tweeted during the game yesterday. I was like, has Chuba Hubbard been Wally pipped? LaQuan has no idea who that is. I know Marcus does. That means that you lose your job because you got hurt. And your replacement played better. And I think that's happened. I don't think Chuba Hubbard completely goes away, but how can you shy away from Rico Dowdle? At the very least, I would expect it to be like a 50-50 split. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards Rico because I had people in my mentions being like, oh, well, he did it against the 2 worst run defenses in the league. Okay, you know how many other players ran for 180 yards in a game this season? 0. He's done it twice now. What he's doing is off the charts. You know how many? That would be the best game of Chuba Hubbard's career, by the way. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a split where Rico is like the first and second down back. Chuba's playing on the passing down, something like that. But if you have Rico right now, I'm not shying away from starting him moving forward. And if you have Chuba Hubbard, I think it's okay for him to hit the bench until we get a little bit more clarity here.
I mean, so the good news is if you have Rico Dowdle or if you're looking to pick him up off the waiver wire, there's definitely some reason to be optimistic. The bad news is now suddenly we go from an offense where you had one guy who was pretty much getting all the work to now probably two guys that are splitting the work. I guess the third part of this is they have the Jets next week, which isn't great either.
I will say, could we say the Trent Green? Because that's kind of what happened. The Trent Green
I was
and
going to
then
say,
Kirk
no,
came in.
this is an Adam Rank thing that I will give him full credit for. He decided years ago we should call it getting Drew Bledsoe'd because Bledsoe got hurt. Tom Brady came in and the rest is sort of history.
But Wally Pipp is just like historic.
Yeah, Wally Pipp is sort of, by the way, LaQuan, the whole story of Wally Pipp. He was the first baseman for the New York Yankees. He wasn't feeling great or was hurt. He took a day off. Lou Gehrig took over at first base, and then Lou Gehrig proceeded to play 2,100 games in a row and set a major league record right after that.
Oh, God.
Set a major league record for consecutive games played right after that, and Wally Pipp never got his job back.
What year is this, like 95?
This is like in the 30s, man.
This was in the yeah, Lou Gehrig disease, like all of this stuff, like you've never heard of him?
No, I thought this was like 30 years ago. This was going to be a plug for a joke.
No, this was like
this was like 100 years ago.
Like,
Jesus.
Someone tweeted me that they were like, Wally Pipp is too old for this current generation. From now on, it's going to be called getting Rico Dowdled. And I was like, I like it.
Okay.
It can't be Rico Dowdle. It has to be the name of the person who got replaced. So it'd be getting Chuba Hubbard. Did. Is what it is. So,
too many D's at the end of that one.
Anyway, I didn't think Wally Pipp was going to make it to the show today, but here we are. LaQuan, Kimani Vidal. And I know we've sort of all kind of been at some point or other Kimani Vidal stands. I will admit that I didn't think much of him. I sort of suggested that folks stay away from him this week. I thought maybe Hassan Haskins was going to get more work. Instead, Vidal goes for 138 scrimmage yards, has a touchdown in this one. We know Amari and Hampton out for a few more games at least. So, real or Mirage, LaQuan, with Kimani Vidal?
This looks real. This looks like it is real deal because honestly, we've seen him now 2 weeks being able to operate and function behind that banged up O-line. So he's able to thrive in the chaos. Where Haskins, these past 2 weeks, we haven't seen of him having any type of function or operation in that backfield. So I do think Kimani Vidal made a statement like, hey, you guys can look at me to be your workhorse. Like Haskins does an amazing job on third down. He's kind of the reason why Ladd had that breakaway run. If you watch that clip, the entire clip, he's upfield and he's blocking. That's really what I see him for this offense, to have that balance as a pass blocker, to support that O-line. But when they need an explosive play and they need that bang that he possesses, like Kimani Vidal is going to be that guy. And I think he adds to the passing game as well. Head on the swivel, nasty hands, foot in the ground, up in the end zone. That's really his type of game. So I think if they keep setting him up and putting him in position, there could still be some balance between this passing game and run game with him operating as the RB1 and then has Haskins kind of play as that low 30% type of backup.
Any thought, Florio, that if Vidal plays well, that it could be him and Hampton in a split when Hampton's healthy again?
I wouldn't. I don't want to go that far. I had a lot of people being like, it was the Dolphins. But this is what players are supposed to do when they get good matchups. Now, we got to monitor it moving forward. I still think when Hampton comes back, it'll be his gig. Maybe there's a couple of games where we see it be a split as Hampton kind of ramps back up. But I think come the fantasy playoffs and stuff like that, Hampton will be the guy. Maybe Vidal sees some work, but not enough to be fantasy relevant. But I have a lot of Kimani Vidal. I know a lot of people were going the Haskins way. I feel great after what we saw yesterday. Like LQ was saying, the more explosive runner, the better pass catching option. And again, it was a good matchup, granted, but this is what you're supposed to do in good matchups.
Right. I mean, I think it's like everybody's like, oh, it was the Dolphins. But if he went out against the Dolphins and he had 27 rushing yards, you'd be like, this guy stinks. He can't even run against the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
it can't go both ways, you know. Either he played well or he didn't play well. Give him credit for playing well.
How many yards did Haskins have? I just wanted to
not
ask
many.
That. Exactly. So
I think the bigger thing outside of Haskins is this might have given the Chargers, like we heard a lot of rumors that they were calling teams trying to ask for running backs. Maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable now with Kimani Vidal.
Yeah, for sure. And for the record, Haskins had 14 rushing yards and 9 receiving yards. So 23 yards for Hassan Haskins in that game. The Jaguars could not back up their win against Kansas City. They lose to the Seattle Seahawks, but a couple of guys had some interesting days. And Florio, Brian Thomas, 8 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. That was 23 fantasy points. Back-to-back games for Thomas now with at least 80 receiving yards. I know we talked to Cam Wolf last week and we asked him if maybe the Jaguars had figured something out. He says he thinks they have. So for BTJ, what we've seen the last couple of weeks, real or mirage?
I think it's real. Yesterday could have been an absolutely monstrous game for him. Not only did he finish with 8 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown, he had a 53-yard touchdown called back.
Line up, Travis Hunter.
Line up. He pulled a Kadarius Toney. And then on top of that, he had, I don't remember the exact yardage, but it would have been a first down catch. I think it was like 15 to 20 yards. Just clank off his hands, hit him in the helmet, and go incomplete. So like the drop's still a little bit of an issue there, but he could have just absolutely went off yesterday. So I think BTJ is back to a guy that you just plug in each week. But while we're on the Jaguars passing game, I do want to point out, I know it wasn't a big game for Travis Hunter, but he did lead them in routes, and he was the only other player besides BTJ to see more than 5 targets. So like Cam Wolf said last week, starting to try to implement him more in the passing game, get him going more downfield. I don't think you could start Hunter until we see it more consistently, but this to me is signs of life.
It is signs of life. And I've noticed that the last couple of weeks, they're trying to integrate him more into that passing game. I would like to see some more downfield routes. I mean, he had that big downfield catch last week against the Chiefs. He did have, I think, another sort of downfield route. I don't know if he got targeted on that one or not, but I think he did actually, and it was incomplete. But I'd like to see some more downfield throws because a lot of the connections seem to be within like 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And then you're asking him to, make guys miss or break some tackles, which he can do, but it's also just a hard way to live on a consistent basis for pretty much anybody. But that does bring us to Trevor Lawrence. And 258 passing yards.
Trevor Lawrence.
That's not what his birth certificate says. I'm sure that's not what his mama calls him, so that's not what I'm going to call him. 258 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He's had 19 or more fantasy points in consecutive games. So one, LaQuan, is this real or mirage? And also, we need a mid-o-meter update.
I'll bring out the mid-o-meter now. I do think that it's real. I moved it up a tad bit up the notch where it was before. He was here. Now he is here. He is almost at the midline.
He's almost fully to mid now.
And I don't want to get I trust Trevor Mid-Lawrence right now to where he's getting Brian Thomas Jr. the ball. Things are starting to look upward. I don't know if I can trust this guy yet, though. That's the problem. So I think if he ends the season at mid, I'll be okay. But for right now, things are starting to look up for Trevor Mid-Lawrence. He could be going back up to T-Law. The cool kids call him that.
What happens if he gets to above mid? Do you just have to start calling him Trevor Lawrence? You have to drop the other part.
I was about to say, if he gets above mid, I'll be highly surprised. But yes,
two questions.
Trevor.
If they win in London, how high does he move up the board?
I would say this. He'll move up 2 notches, and that will put him at mid.
He's only at mid if he go. Okay. My other trivia question.
I will say this. Put a pin in that. I'll say this. Our secondary is cooked, so he should be a starter this week. He should be in starting lineups. Brian Thomas Jr. should be in starting lineups without a blink. They should attack our secondary. So
I will say that
he's going to have a good game.
So I'm putting together my list of sleepers for the week. Trevor Lawrence is on that. So I'm just letting you know.
He's a star.
Do you guys know what his middle name actually is?
It's like Alexander.
I've looked it up. It's like... Oh, I'm blanking. I want to say Charles, but I know that's not it.
His middle name
funny.
is Trevor.
Oh, that's right. Because his first name is
William.
William. That's right. He's William. He's Will Lawrence. That's right.
So we're giving him a second middle name because his middle name is actually, it's confusing.
Yes.
By the way, I asked our friends on the research team, Karine Falcone, who put this together for me. In 6 career games in London, Trevor Lawrence has averaged 233.5 passing yards per game, has a total of 7 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. He's averaged about 14.5 fantasy points per game in 6 London starts.
That's a home game for him.
We should start calling him William and make him earn the name Trevor.
Make him earn Trevor? That sounds kind of fair. I like that. I kind of think that's fair. I think that's fair. All right, so there you go. That's Real to Mirage. Want to get to some backfield talk a little bit of a backfield report here. And because we've looked around and there are some running back situations that are not great, where you've got 2 guys that are splitting time and the production generally is, it's not enough that you feel great about starting them, but these are also players that it's hard to get away from in any real situation. So, LaQuan, I want to start with you and the Seahawks here. Zach Charbonnet yesterday had 61% of the snaps, 13 touches for 37 yards. Kenneth Walker, 33% of the snaps, 11 touches for 37 yards. They both scored the same amount of points. I think they both had 4.1 points because they each had 1 catch as well. Where are you going with this backfield? Because Walker's the explosive guy, but Charbonnet's the touchdown guy. Which one of these 2 do you want at this point?
I'll say this. If I'm Kenneth Walker, trade me. If you think Zach Charbonnet is the guy, go ahead. Because that's exactly what's happening. It doesn't make sense why they're even doing this split. Zach Charbonnet has 0 games over 50. Negative yardage before contact, so that means that he is terrible. The defenders are swarming him, or he's running into blocks, or not even seeing the gaps, and that's usually what we're seeing on tape. So I think it's kind of disrespectful to have Kenneth Walker on the sideline, to have Zach Charbonnet get more touches, have more opportunities when he's not doing anything with them. Kenneth Walker is your bang for your buck. He is the slingshot player that you send back, and he shoots off and he gets upfield. So I do think at the end of the day, as a fantasy manager, this is the most frustrating situation I can be, having Kenneth Walker. I see the timeline, the fantasy streets are chirping. They're like, this is literally the last season I will be drafting Kenneth Walker. I kind of agree. It doesn't make any sense. It's one of the most frustrating things that are happening in the backfields that we're talking about, because we know that Kenneth Walker is the more talented back.
But I go back to, and I said this on this show repeatedly during the preseason, that all of the beat reporters, all of the chatter out of Seattle was that the coaching staff was sort of getting worn out with Kenneth Walker. A lot of it had to do with injuries and not being healthy and not being available, but that had been the drumbeat all summer long that Zach Charbonnet was coming for the job. Now, the problem is Zach Charbonnet is kind of a plotter, right? He's not a breakaway sort of guy. He gives you
2.6 yards per carry, Marcus. It's last. It's
a
last.
little
2.6 yards per carry.
Because I don't think he's very good. It is a little bit because he's the short yardage back and he's at the goal line, and you can't have breakaway runs on those.
Yeah, but even when they use him between the 20s, I mean, he's just not. He's not the guy.
He's not explosive at all.
Kenneth Walker is the guy who could, on any given moment, get the corner and then go 40 yards, right? That can
come
happen
on, bro. Get the yards. Fight on.
Also,
come from that
Zach
school.
Charbonnet went to the other school.
UCLA.
He went to UC Los Angeles. He went to UC Los Angeles, not the University of Southern California. I would ask for you to please get that right.
You going?
They play in November. It's the last game of the season.
You going?
Shout out to Trojans beating Michigan over the weekend. We'll just throw that out there. Yeah, I feel like, and I said this a few weeks ago on Fantasy Live, that Kenneth Walker has a Zach Charbonnet problem and vice versa, because Charbonnet's not going to get a bunch of touches because they do know that Walker's explosive. But unless Walker is scoring a touchdown from 25 yards out, when they get close, it's Zach Charbonnet getting those touches down at the goal line. So again, if they form like Voltron, they're probably top 10 running back. But with them splitting opportunities, both guys are just generally unsatisfying, but it's also just hard to, you're not going to, maybe you bench him, you're not going to drop him. It's just.
But that's the thing that's so frustrating, because are you going to bench Kenneth Walker? No, because he has that high ceiling. He has the high ceiling.
Does he?
Yeah, we've seen it this season.
But that's in the game that Zach Charbonnet didn't play. Well, there's one good game he has in the 5 games that Charbonnet has played. In those 5 games, he's averaging 10.5 PPR points per game, which isn't great. And he's outscored Charbonnet in 1 of 5 games. Like, I think.
But Charbonnet's points are coming strictly from cherry picking the end zone. That is disgusting. But the problem is, you're never going to start Zach Charbonnet and be like,
I think you sit both of them. I think both of them have just hit the bench.
That's disgusting.
I think the answer is like maybe none right now at this point, unless one guy gets hurt. When they're both healthy, they just both seem.
This wasn't the case last season, though. Like, when Kenneth Walker was healthy, Charbonnet sat the sideline. Like, it wasn't this annoying. Like, now it's just
something's happened in Seattle.
Ken Walker asked for a trade. Trade him.
Right.
I agree, but it's too frustrating to trust in fantasy.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's go to the Steelers, where Arthur Smith collects his mail.
Fantasy Streets boogeyman.
Seriously, spooky season right now. Jalen Warren yesterday, 51% of the snaps, 13 touches, 63 yards. Kenneth Gainwell, 34% of the snaps, 12 touches, 36 yards. I mean, Florio, I know some of that was because they were playing the Browns, and nobody, at least from the running back spot, really has success against the Browns right now. But Warren looks like the lead back, but you mentioned it too last week that Kenneth Gainwell was getting some opportunities and that sort of thing. Is there a guy that you want? At this point, I guess we can sort of, write off Caleb Johnson because he seems like he's sort of out of the mix. But between Warren and Gainwell, who's the guy you want?
The correct answer for me, I think, is neither. If I have to pick, I'm going with Jalen Warren. But I think this is just becoming a headache. Warren ran pretty well considering who the opponent was yesterday. But the thing that always made Warren attractive in fantasy was his pass game usage. Well, he only had 2 targets yesterday, but Kenneth Gainwell had 6. So if Gainwell is now going to be playing on passing downs, he's kind of the new Jalen Warren, and Jalen Warren's kind of the new, more explosive Najee Harris. And I don't know if we can fully write off Caleb Johnson either, because he had 6 carries yesterday and played a season high in snaps, I believe. So, to me, this is becoming a matchup-based backfield. I don't think Gainwell is good enough where he has standalone value outside of maybe a bye week or injury replacement. But I think he is going to drag Jalen Warren down into RB3 territory that you could play in a good matchup. Maybe things get better. Maybe this was just a case of he sat out. He hurt his ankle in our last game. Then we had the bye. He sat out, then the bye, stuff like that. So maybe it's getting him back to full health. But I came away from yesterday being like, I am happy I don't have a whole lot of Jalen Warren on my fantasy teams.
Jonnu Smith, 6 carries confirmed for next week, because that's basically what Caleb Johnson was.
Let's just put out this hypothetical, right? Let's just say you had a friend who had to write a weekly sleepers column, and that friend saw that the Steelers were playing the Bengals and was trying to find a sleeper running back. Which running back would you pick?
Probably Warren. I will say the matchup, though, is the reason why I didn't have them as sits, because it's too hard to sit someone against Cincy.
Yeah.
I think Jonnu has a rushing touchdown next week. Let's say that.
Oh, God.
Seriously,
let's go.
As I went through, yesterday I'm going through and I'm making my list of sleepers, just like a peek behind the curtain how this works, right? Sure, like you do, Florio, and like you probably do with LaQuan when you're looking at rankings, that sort of thing. Like I look at who's playing the Bengals, who's playing the Cowboys, who's
who you
playing
can bully.
right, like where can I get? And so I was like, all right, great, we can let's in the mix, right? The first draft of the list is Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, and then I got to tight end, and I was just like, I stopped because yesterday when it came to tight end usage for the Steelers, Darnell Washington had 5 targets. Jonnu Smith had 4 targets.
Yes.
Connor Hayward had a target. Who else am I missing? Pat Freiermuth only had 1 target and only ran 13 routes. But it's just like, literally, that's 4 tight ends that Arthur Smith got into the mix yesterday. So I'm trying to figure out who's a tight end sleeper, maybe going against the Bengals. And I'm like, I can't, with any real certainty, tell you any of these names in Pittsburgh if this is what Arthur Smith is going to do.
I want no part of this offense. Like I've been saying to trade DK Metcalf, I would try to trade Jalen Warren after his next big game. I just want absolutely. It's a bad play caller. It's for fantasy at least. It's a quarterback who can't really throw the deep ball anymore. They've had a good favorable schedule to open up. I don't know. I just don't want to do the Steelers thing.
But DK's also had a touchdown in 4 straight games.
That's the thing. That's why you can sell him now for a big return.
So, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I have Jalen Warren on a couple of teams, and like, it's hard for me to get away from him. But I'm not.
Somehow it was more fun
in the league.
LaQuan, you talking about not being happy about starting Charbonnet. I'm not happy about having to start Jalen Warren.
It was somehow more fun when he was Najee Harris's backup. Yeah. I don't know how.
Yeah, now that he's the guy, it's disgusting. That's usually how it works.
It's always how it works, right? Like, everybody loves you when you're the backup. When you become the guy, it's not as fun. So we'll see how it goes. One last backfield to get to. And speaking of the Steelers, they played the Browns. And on the other side, you pointed this out, LaQuan, in our group chat. There's a lot of Jerome Ford yesterday. In fact, Jerome Ford and Quinshon Judkins played the exact same number of snaps. Judkins 12 touches for 36 yards, Ford 7 touches for 30 yards. Is this a thing that's going to start happening, LaQuan? Because like these the last couple of weeks, it looked like the Quinshon Judkins show. Are we going to have to start dealing with Jerome Ford, maybe taking some food off our plate?
Yeah, especially with David Njoku banged up. Like, I think we kind of ignored Quinshon Judkins' scary floors because it was like going into this game, this guy's averaging more than 90 yards per game. So it's like, okay, he looks good as the workhorse. We don't have to worry about Dylan Sampson. We don't have to worry about Jerome Ford. But when the run game doesn't work, we never really put that in an equation to think, like, what does Quinshon Judkins look like? Because they need to get the ball out fast with Dylan Gabriel making quick decisions, so that becomes dump offs. They're not going to have Jerome Ford or Dylan Sampson sitting on the sideline while Quinshon Judkins trying to run a couple of routes. Like, no, like he's had a game where they experimented with that, where he had 4 targets, 4 catches, but Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford kind of looks better in open field as a pass catcher than a Quinshon Judkins, because if you go back to college, that's what they had Travion Henderson for, which we'll save for later in the show. I got something for that guy. But I do think at the end of the day, like, if Quinshon Judkins has been like your reliable RB2 or your flex, like, still believe in that. But just understand, like, if the matchup is not there for him on the ground, we have to second guess now because he can easily get phased out. And then they'll start having Jerome Ford or Sampson running those routes where PPR formats, that's kind of what we want from our lead guy.
I mean, that's the fear right now, Florio, is that, as LaQuan mentioned, like, Judkins not heavily involved in the passing game. And this is a Browns team that is going to lose a lot of games. They're going to be trailing in a lot of games. So it feels like the potential for game script could become an issue for Judkins this year.
It definitely could, but I'm not nearly as worried. This was a game where they went down 23-6. Like, they've kept it a lot closer against a lot better teams. I still think I think this was more just we're far behind, like we need to go into pure pass mode. And there's going to be weeks like that, but you would have thought that was a week against the Lions. You would have thought that was a week against the Packers. Like, he's proven, I still consider him a rock solid every week start. And like next week he gets the Dolphins. He's a must start for me.
Oh yeah, that's to the moon.
He's on my list this week of guys that, he's going to be talked about for sure this week. Is there ever going to be a team, or has there ever been a team so bad that they just fall behind and they're like, you know what, let's just run our regular offense just to see what we have instead of like, hey, let's try to throw in catch ups. Like, you know what? We're down. We're not coming back. Let's just work some things out.
I think there's an easy argument that Judkins is the better, even if they're down 4 scores, like you're probably going to get a better result out of running him than you are in the passing game right now.
Absolutely.
Probably. All right. So anyway, those are some running back situations we are diving into. I thought about throwing Kansas City into the mix here too. I mean, have we all just, we all decided that it's Kareem Hunt's show, but I guess yesterday it was Isaiah Pacheco who was the more productive of the backs.
I think all 3 backs are on the waiver wire for most leagues. I think honestly,
so.
That's one of those situations that I'm glad I'd want left on that, like, because I hate that they're still trying to put the ball in Pacheco's hands, like through the air. Like, bro, like you have a pass catching back in Rashard Smith. Stop putting Pacheco in those situations. You know, like he doesn't need to catch the ball.
Rashard Smith is the guy that I'm waiting for the post-bye bump. The Chiefs have their bye in week 10, and that's when I'm very curious about Rashard Smith if they start to integrate him more because he's getting a little bit of work, but his snaps are still fairly limited and his opportunities are fairly limited. And Florio, I know you've talked about this with the Chiefs for a while. It always seems like late in the season they sort of unveil that guy. Like in the past, it had been like Jerick McKinnon, who they they take him out of bubble wrap late in the season and let him do things. I'm getting those kind of vibes with Rashard Smith.
The only thing I agree, I think he can be a weapon for them. The only thing, and the reason why I think they continue to try a little bit to make Pacheco a thing in the passing game is because the offense is at its least predictable when he's on the field. Like when Kareem Hunt's out there, you pretty much know they're going to bang it up the middle. When Smith's out there, you kind of know they're passing. So I think he gives them that like hard to figure out thing. But yeah, he straight up needs to be better.
The other thing about Rashard Smith, and I guess the other running backs as well, Rashee Rice is coming back, and it's just
Save us, King.
There's so many places to go with the ball, you know? Yesterday was Travis Kelce, it was Juju, it was Hollywood Brown. You know, Tyquan Thornton, who had been playing well, didn't get a single target yesterday, but there will be weeks where it's, you know, Tyquan Thornton getting the target. It'll be Xavier Worthy, who had a touchdown yesterday. Like, it's just, there's so many places for Mahomes to go with the football that it's just hard to really rely on any one guy in that offense.
He might be their best runner.
Who, Mahomes?
Yeah.
Yikes. That's not
great. He is. Well, he's actually, he is. He's leading them in rushing yards right now. Rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. That is Patrick Mahomes.
It's embarrassing.
He has a legit MVP case, though, because of that.
Oh, don't do that. No, man.
He does?
It's Stafford
Mahomes is
and Baker
100%
right now.
in the MVP conversation.
No.
He's in the conversation. Bro, it's week 6. Like, how are you eliminating people from the conversation in week 6?
I don't want to hear him be in an MVP race. It's
He's
Baker or Stafford right now, bro.
I don't know.
Stafford is not top 5.
I don't know what to tell you,
What?
man. Like,
Are you crazy, Florio?
Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I'd probably say
Matthew
Stafford.
Stafford.
Before yesterday, I was saying Jared Goff.
No, stop. Jared Goof?
Look, you guys are 3. He had 9 fantasy points yesterday.
I do love that. I love how easy it is just
Florio,
to like poke LaQuan in the ribs about these sorts of things. It's hilarious.
Stafford
It's
not
not
top
just me.
5.
Look at other MVP things. Like,
Bro, Stafford is playing amazing football. Just wait into this connection.
you opened up the show by saying that he has no chemistry with Devontae Adams.
I just said when that gets on par, then you will understand why MVP is there. Like he's showing flashes, but he is a guy that you need to have in that conversation.
Dak is ahead of Stafford, I would say.
Oh my God.
Look at the numbers Dak has put up.
His head's about to explode right now. Is Devontae Adams Allen Robinson 2.0?
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
Stop.
I'm kidding.
Stop.
I just wanted to get you. I just wanted to see if I could make you.
Yeah, you wanted to
Drake May.
turn the knife.
Drake May also ahead of Stafford.
Ooh.
That is not a hot take right now that Drake May is a top 5 quarterback in the league. That's not a hot take anymore. I will say this, he's not above Stafford, so stop.
As you start looking toward week 7 and looking to make some roster moves, figured we'd do some waiver wire stuff and some guys to drop. I originally was going to do waiver wire first and then the drop zone thing, but I'm really trying to get better about not ending the show on a negative note. So I figured I would flip those around and we could talk about who to drop first and then talk about who to add, because at least that seems a little bit more hopeful as a way to end the show. So, who is going back into the waiver pool there, LaQuan?
I'm opening up my league. And it's the Cutthroat Season League with all my friends in high school and stuff. You know, we've been in this league for 12 years now. I'm dropping Travion Henderson.
Ooh.
I don't care. I'm ready to pull the Band-Aid off. I'm not waiting for the rookie project and waiting for that breakout after week 10 because some of us don't have time to wait for that. Some of us are missing on the waves of the waiver wire running backs. Some folks are missing out on the Rico Dowdle. They're missing out on guys like Kimani Vidal that are starting to pop up off the waiver wire that you can sit with and help you turn around your team. Travion Henderson right now is stuck in the vortex of Stevenson. He's not pulling away from him. The symbiote is all over Travion Henderson. He is not getting free. So I look at this as a situation of like, hey, if I see an available running back who's giving me right now impact that can help me turn around my team, Travion Henderson is ghost. He is gone. He is on the waiver wire, and I do not care when he breaks out because most likely it'll be on your bench when he breaks out. So good luck with that. I'm trying to turn it around right now, not waiting for it.
Florio, you've been, at least on this show, the biggest Henderson supporter. Are you there yet with him?
No. Nope. In fact, I think he is a big
Sleeper just asked me if I'm sure, by the way. You want to push it?
Put
You
it
can
out
push it for me.
They get the Tennessee Titans this week. I'm giving him one more opportunity.
Stevenson's about to go insane this game, and then we're going to look at Travion Henderson.
Travy, give me one more chance.
Look, I'm not saying Travion has been good. I came on last week's show and was like, he needs to be a lot better. He hasn't been good running up the middle. I don't know why they refuse to give him outside carries because he has thrived on those. But this week they get the Titans, and the Titans are towards the top in the league in most like rushing categories allowed. Plus, game script should very much so be on the Patriots side. I'm not saying that like you have to start him, although I am writing him up and start sit as like I'm borrowing from your Colin Marcus. I'm putting a sleeper for it in this one, so it's not a straight start. But if he has a good game against the Titans, suddenly he has value again. It doesn't have to be on your team, but I get it if like Kimani Vidal or Rico Dowdle are out there. But in a lot of leagues, those guys have been scooped up already, and there's no one else that's available this week.
Give me Kendre Miller. Give me Kendre Miller. I'll jump on that project. That's trending up. That's trending
I'm not
upward.
doing that.
I'll take that.
Kamara's not getting traded.
Yeah,
they better reconsider.
That's gonna be nasty work all year long.
He doesn't want to leave, and he's the face of that team.
That backfield's nasty work all year long. Don't want any parts of that.
Like, are you going to drop him for Kenneth Gainwell or Tajay Spears or Bam Knight?
I can't drop him right now because one of your players are trying to drop is already locked into your starting lineup. So he gets it tomorrow where I'm going to be dropping him. Yes, absolutely. I'm done. There's no reason why he needs to be on my roster anymore.
I'm not going to have Jamar Chase all over again.
No, it's not. No,
I'm not saying that Travion is that level.
Not.
But I'm not dropping him just to anger drop him when he has a good matchup.
Whoa.
By the way, like the Jamar Chase, Alec Iomanner debate, that's over now, right? That's done.
It may not be because breaking news. I hope this is real. Titans fire head coach Brian Callahan. That just happened.
All right, yep, I see it right here. I see
what.
I don't think that's going to make Alec Iomanner better than Jamar Chase, but
no, that was never the argument. It was more reliability, but that ended very quickly.
I mean,
but
Jamar Chase has like 54 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, but in that game that I sat Jamar Chase, there wasn't a real difference. It was like 6-7 points. So,
but we said 3 weeks span.
Nah, it.
I mean, we said 3 weeks when we made it. If we slept through it, you would be eating something spicy right now.
Alec Iomanner doesn't even have 54 points for the season.
Who's to blame?
While we're talking about Brian Callahan,
who do you blame for that?
For Alec Iomanner? I mean, the Titans.
No. I blame you for doubting Jamar Chase, not for trusting Alec Iomanner.
I wasn't doubting Chase. I was doubting his situation and the quarterback throwing to him.
On this whole Brian Callahan thing, though, like I think this could only be a good thing for Cam Ward, because if you've watched the Titans, like they've done nothing but put him in a position to fail. Like they're top 5 in pressure allowed, they're top 5 in sacks allowed. I know turnovers have been an issue, but they've had a lot of drops. I don't think they were using some of their players in the best way. And when you look at Cam Ward's numbers when he's not running for his life, they're good. Like he had over 100 passer rating this week when not under pressure. So I never excited to see someone lose their job or anything like that. But I think with the results the Titans have been giving, especially with everything they've invested in Cam Ward, something had to change.
4-19 was the record for Brian Callahan in not even a season and a half with the Tennessee Titans. And when I watch the offense, it generally is like every third play is a Cam Ward sprint out of the pocket, stand near the sideline, wait for somebody to come open and either force it into coverage or throw it out of bounds. That's not sustainable. So Brian Callahan, the first head coach who has been let go here in the 2025 season. Anyway, back to the drop zone, guys, because this is where we started this whole thing. Where are you putting back in the waiver pool right now?
Hollywood Brown, thank you for your service. He's been good, right? Like he's been useful. 2 touchdowns last night. But before the season started, I was like, I want to draft Hollywood Brown and ride him until Rashee Rice is back. And we have reached that point. So like you were saying, MG, there's a lot of targets to go around. I think Rashee Rice is going to be the unquestioned number 1 target, maybe even as soon as this upcoming week. Xavier Worthy is obviously not going to leave the field a whole bunch. Kelsey's there. I think Thornton becomes more of a boomer bust guy. And I think that's what Hollywood Brown becomes. Like he will have some games the rest of the way where he is useful, but I think it's going to be difficult to predict unless there's an injury or something like that. So look, he's helped you survive these first 6 weeks if you drafted him and Rashee Rice, like I did in a few leagues. Now it's time to put him back on the waiver so you could activate Rashee Rice and get him back in your starting lineups.
I would say even before I put him on waivers, I might even try to dangle him out in a trade. Just, coming off a 2-touchdown game. I dangle him out there before I just say goodbye, but I'm kind of with you. Like, and I have Hollywood Brown on a few rosters where it's like, okay, I
would do the same for Travion Henderson, but nobody wants him, so that's why it's.
All right. I think I'm over the Troy Franklin experience in Denver, and I tried to be excited about it. It's just not consistent enough. One, the Broncos passing game is not consistent enough. So that's been hard. You know that Cortland Sutton is going to get a lot of the opportunities there. Evan Ingram's starting to get kind of more opportunities there in that offense as well. He had an okay game. I mean, that London game was not fun to watch between the Broncos and the Jets. It was not fun at all. I'm turning into the meme. At least I think the Broncos are turning into the meme with the friendship with friendship ended with Troy Franklin. Now Pat Bryant is my best friend. I'm starting to wonder if Pat Bryant's going to start to get some more opportunities. I think in the end it's going to be generally unsatisfying for anybody not named Cortland Sutton. But Troy Franklin, I appreciate what you did. We tried it. So far it's not working, and it's time for me to move on at this point. So there. Those are guys we are dropping. As for guys we are adding, Florio, you put together this list of waiver wire picks for week 7.
Yeah, Sam Darnold is playing really well right now. I think he needs to be picked up. Don't forget that CJ Stroud, before the bye, had his 2 best fantasy games in over a year. Aaron Rodgers, this was more because of the matchup this week against the Bengals. Feel the same way. I know people are going to be like, Dylan Gabriel, if you need a streamer in a deeper league, he gets the Dolphins. And then Michael Penix Jr., another one that some people might be like, what? But they have a favorable matchup. They get the 49ers, who are super banged up and can't generate much pressure right now. Running back, Kimani Vidal is the big pickup of the week if he's still out there on your waivers. Tajay Spears low-key played over Tony Pollard. Pollard gets the groundwork. Spears is getting the passing game work. Kenneth Gainwell, we've already talked about that backfield. And then Bam Knight. I don't really want to do the Cardinals running back thing, but he's getting the goal line work, it looks like, so he's an option. Receivers, the Packers guys, if they're out there, like Matthew Golden was just below 60% on NFL. I know he's not available in any of your leagues, but Romeo Doubs is, and Romeo Doubs getting a lot of volume as of late. We spoke about the Bucs receivers, so Shepard and the Johnsons are in play there. Josh Downs, second most targets. I don't love Josh Downs because he's kind of the new Wan'Dale Robinson, but he's in play in PPR leagues. LaQuan already spoke about Jordan Whittington with the Rams. Jalen Tolbert, I guarantee you, is not going to be in other waiver wires this week. He had one target this week, but he gets the Commanders next week, who have really struggled against slot receivers, and he's been their top slot guy. And then Zay Jones, just in case Marvin Harrison Jr. is out again next week. Tight ends, Harold Fannin Jr., great usage this week. David Njoku banged up. Evan Ingram been a top 2 target 3 weeks in a row now. Cade Otton, just because of how banged up the Bucs pass catchers are. And then a LaQuan special from the Chargers. Aronde Gadsden the second, seeing more volume as of late. So I think he is in play as well.
Yeah, I do like Aronde Gadsden in the right spots, right situations. This could be one coming up this week. Harold Fannin. So last week I had David Njoku as a sleeper, and then he got hurt, and then Harold Fannin got all these targets. So I'd like to think that I was right.
You got it. We'll give it to you.
I got it right. Those would have been David Njoku targets if he didn't get hurt. That's what I'm telling myself. So we'll see. But anyway, those are some names to go check out on the waiver wire as you get ready to put your claims in and get yourself ready for week 7. But we're getting ourselves ready to put a cap on this show, because that'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. We will talk to you again on Wednesday.